Alright, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're finally here. After, like, how many months has it been since the reboot? I don't know. After how many months it's been since the reboot, we're finally here. I'm finally talking about the beautiful boy, Nova Imperator, how he's been after reboot. I am updating my on-the-spot guide. I'm doing this live on stream. Got the beautiful chat here in the bottom left. Hopefully that's not in the way. Yeah, I'm going to teach everybody how to be Novas. So, honestly, I don't know where to begin, so I'm just gonna start at a random point, which is talking about traits. So let's just talk about traits real quick. So traits with Nova, here's the thing. Here's the golden thing. If you see a heavy trait, you take it. There's just like one situation where you probably wouldn't, but almost every situation you will take heavy because Nova's job is damage. That is Nova's job. That is who that character is. This is who this boy is. He just is damage. He is the embodiment of damage, liquid damage. This is all he's supposed to be doing. So boom. Don't take maximum cannon as well. Second rule, don't take maximum cannon, ever. If you're taking it, what's wrong with you? Okay. Shadow step, haste. Gotta spam the shadow step. Cannon blade, useful. More damage. I maybe take heavy, I don't know. But I don't use cannon blade, so whatever. Power assault light, don't really use it. Yeah, emergency boost, don't really use it in PvE. This, don't really use in PvE. I'm gonna talk about PvP later, by the way. Harpoon Spear, heavy. Take this. Good damage. I don't use it as often as compared to my other skills, but it's still pretty good to take sometimes. The only time I use the skill is when my other skills are on cooldown, so this is just like backup damage. 7 burst. 7 burst is actually quite nice. I take useful just because it does more damage and mana gain with useful. Pretty good. Flame sword I'll use sometimes, like if I'm in Shadow Vein, for example, because you need to use actives in Shadow Vein to get like some of the enemies and bosses. And the super armor is quite nice too. Ground impact is like his worst skill. Don't take it at all. A Revolver Cannon. Now, Revolver Cannon is one of his most important skills. Again, take heavy for this. You want to be doing as much damage as possible. Cooldown will increase by 120, but that honestly doesn't matter. The cooldown is very low anyway. Like, it's 8 seconds. It's just 1 second increase, and you're just going to be doing more damage. It's literally free damage. Literally free damage. Mental Crash, not going to use in PvE. This is probably his worst skill in the game, Hellfire Gatling. Take it if you want to be a meme lord, I guess. But besides that, don't ever take it. Giga Prominence. Giga Prominence, arguably, his best 300 MP. You can use this in any situation, in every situation. Big boss, small boss, it doesn't matter. Again, like I said, take heavy. You want to be doing damage. Heavy. Breaking Fist won't be taken in PvE. Shooting Dash won't be taken in PvE. Ignition Crow Napalm, you can take it. The only reason you would take it is to proc his passive that I will talk about later into more detail. But this is not for damage, so I just take critical to be like, if some enemies have defense, I have a critical skill. But you can take heavy. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. Ignition Crow Incinerator, you want to take Empowered with this because it doesn't have a heavy trait. But, you know, Empowered is just the most free damage you can do. This will be your clearer to kill up trash mobs. The rest of these, like Revolver and Giga Prominence, are for your mostly boss that you sometimes can clear. But this is like the main clearing tool. Napalm Grenade, maybe you'll use it sometimes in PvE. Same thing as Flame Sword if you need an active here and there. It also procs Core if you want to proc Core. But besides that, you probably wouldn't take it. Rain of Fire. Now, Rain of Fire is his strongest 300 MP in certain situations. What are those certain situations? Those certain situations are big bosses. So when it's a big boss, this will do the most damage out of any of his other skills. But when it's not a big boss, when it's like a human-sized boss, like Henan, like the final boss of the Varnamir raids, you probably don't want to be using Rain of Fire as much as you can be using like Giga Prominence or Revolver Cannon. But again, like I said before, take Heavy. Heavy is amazing. For Deadly Raid, you actually want to take Regenerating, not Critical, because Regenerating has a chance to get back the mana, and the only reason you would use Deadly Raid is to just stay invincible because there's so many invincibility frames. The damage is okay, like it's pretty decent, it's not bad at all. The problem is that it's very slow. It is super duper slow. So you probably won't be using this for damage, just invincibility frames and trying to stay alive. And you're trying to stay alive anyway, you want that mana back. His Hyperactive is not good at all. Don't use it unless everything else is on cooldown. Like if everything else is literally on cooldown and you won't die from dashing forward, you can use Burning Buster. Hellfire you will not use in PvE. Flamesword Flurry is complete garbage. Bursting Blade is amazing. Always take the mod of Bursting Blade. It pretty much does an amazing buff. 10% crit damage, 10% additional damage. I mean, crit damage increase. And then command attack power 20%. It's amazing. It's awesome. The damage is great too. It's a very wide AoE around you. It's great. Effort Flame is quite nice. It's not bad at all. You mostly use it to get the debuff on people. The big problem with Effort Flame is that the debuff does not last long at all. It's only 5 seconds, and I think with the trait I have on, which is I think it's useful. Yeah, I wish it had Killing Blow. If it had Killing Blow, then maybe it would increase to like 7 seconds, so it'd be pretty nice, but it doesn't. So, I mean, no, it does have Killing Blow. I'm sorry. I meant to say I don't take Heavy because I don't use it for the damage. I use it for the debuff. So, there you go. And Into the Gates of Hell is trash. It's even worse than Burning Buster. Okay, so those are the traits. So, now I'm going to talk about what skills I actually use. Like I said, my most important skill is Revolver Cannon. Revolver Cannon is also what I stack on each of my Arena pieces. Revolver Cannon 11, 12, 12, 12. I want this to be 11, obviously. Revolver Cannon... Well, passives? Yeah, we'll talk about passives in a second. So yeah, Revolver Cannon is my main tool. No matter if I'm bossing, no matter if I'm doing just random dungeon, Revolver Cannon always stays on the Transcendent slot. If I'm doing dungeons, Incinerator put on the Transcendent slot just so I can use this as much as possible. Again, this is his only tool to just get rid of trash mobs. That's the thing. It's his only real tool to get rid of them. Nothing else kind of goes forward. Like 7 Burst kind of does, but it's 300 MP is very much a commitment, and hitbox isn't that great. But Ignition Crow Incinerator, especially after the buff it got, which does splash damage, so you can get a lot of enemies inside it and do the splash damage, great. Giga Prominence, I always keep here. It's always consistent, great damage against almost anything in any situation. It doesn't go forward, so it's not that good. Also, it does have a mod version, but the mod version is complete butt cheeks, so don't take it. Crow, Ground Crow, like I said, it's just good for proccing the effect. It's good if everything else is on cooldown. But besides that, this could be anything else you want to replace it with anything else. Rain of Fire is amazing, like I said, for big bosses. If I'm doing a big boss, like a raid boss, or like a Drbaki, or like a Titan's Grotto, I will replace these two. I'll switch these two so that I can spam Rain of Fire more, and then I can just use this for cooldown decreases. Bursting Blade, like I said, amazing. You always want to keep this on 24/7. I know the buff only lasts about 10 seconds, but the cooldown's 15. So you won't have it all the time, but anytime you can have it, make sure you're using it. 7 Burst is good for just filler damage. You can replace this with anything you want if you want to try Cannon Blade, but Cannon Blade's invincibility frames are not very nice. So I would rather 7 Burst, and 7 Burst has a nice little gravity pull, so it's quite nice. Next is Harpoon Spear. Again, like I said, pretty good damage, filler damage. The only problem with Harpoon Spear is that you have to be jumping to use it, and in that 1 second that you're jumping, you can be vulnerable, so be very careful when you're using Harpoon Spear, especially if you're like in a raid boss, for example. I wish the mod made it so he just shot Harpoon Spear forward, but no, the mod doesn't do that. The mod just does it in one shot. Speaking of mods, real quick, I take Revolver Cannon Mod. If you're fighting a lot of just mobs, maybe you want to take unmodded, but I mostly take modded just for the more damage. Harpoon Spear, don't take the mod. It's just less damage. Ignition Crow Incinerator, never take the mod ever. Why would you ever do this? This is the worst mod in the game. Maybe. Giga Prominence mod, I already talked about that. And Breaking Fist mod is for PvP. And I think that's all. Oh yeah, and Effort Flame, again for debuffing. I don't always use it, but when I use it, it's great. It also drags enemies. Does a debuff for about 5 seconds, so your teammates can dogpile on the enemy. It's very nice. Ignition Crow mod does have one purpose. It does. LOL. What is it? Okay. Nice. All right. So let's talk about passives, right? So to talk about passives, let me go into free training. Okay. So as we all know, Nova has the unique character system of Overheat. What is Overheat? Whenever I use a Overheat skill or Overheat command, Raven will lose HP as he does more damage and gets buffs. Okay? So that meaning you always want to be at low health. Not exactly like low as possible, at least 40%. Because as you see, after a while, he stops draining HP. This is the 40% mark. This is the golden mark where you want to be at. Why? Because when you're at this mark, you get some buffs. Overheat buff, there we go, Awaken Will buff, Mercenary Survival buff, and the Veteran buff. So all those buffs you want to have at all times with the Overheat. Obviously, He overheats skills as well. As you can see, he's draining his HP. So there we go. So that's overheating. So let's talk about the passives in more detail. I'll go by every one. So Mercenary behavior. Ignore overheat damage when HP is low. Overheat damage reduction. Magical attack increase during awakening 6%. And awakening duration decrease. With this passive, you just pretty much always want to be in awakening as much as possible. That can be difficult in raid boss stages. I have found that to be pretty difficult in raid boss stages. He doesn't have the best way of sustaining awakening, but if you just keep doing damage, and Rain of Fire does get quite a bit of awakening charge. If you're just really good with your damage, you shouldn't ever leave awakening, but it can happen where your awakening just kind of runs out, and it does suck. But you know what? It happens, so it's okay. Victory survival strategy. So all these debuffs get decreased in duration, except for excessive overheat -2, and possible Midair Skills, Flame Sword, and Haze Explosion. Those really come to play into PvP. In PvE, not so much, but it's a defensive passive. Then we have Veteran, knockdown decrease 50%, attack power increase 30%, MP recovery 30, duration 5 seconds. So this is one of the big passives you will get when you're under 50% HP, is attack power increase 30%. That 30% goes a long way. And unfortunately, the MP recovery 30, it only gives you 30 mana when you awaken, which is, like, it's good for PvP. Like, it's pretty decent for PvP. But in PvE, that's not going to matter much. Like, that 30 MP, I don't know why it's not, like, 200 or something in PvE. Like, 30 doesn't matter in PvE. It really doesn't. But whatever, we'll take what we can take. Then we got Mercenary Survival Strategy, Physical Defense 8, Magical Defense 8, all resistance is 100. This is another buff you get when you're under 50%. It's just a defensive buff, and that's about it. So it kind of helps you stay alive. It's quite nice there. This is Overheat Mode activated, so it increases the duration of your overheat. Before you get this passive, overheat is only to about 10 seconds. Now it's about 12.3 seconds. 8 seconds. And then you can get 2 stacks. So before, you can only get 1 stack of overheat, which is like about 10% more damage. But with this, it's 2 stacks of overheat. So you're just getting more damage. Again, damage, 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 damage. That's the name of the game right now. It's just damage. And then when you're in overheat, when you have the overheat debuff, you get 5% attack increase, so more damage. And then maximize chance 20%. What this means is that you don't have to stack as much maximize as other people. So that's just quite nice. Like it rounds out to about like a couple sockets, like nothing too crazy. But you can hold back on a couple sockets, maybe add some more boss sockets, some more crit sockets, things like that. So there you go, really nice there. Awaken 1, everybody has this. And Flames of Victory is a big thing I want to talk about. So I'll save that when talking about this as well. So we have the Last Resort here. This is his revival passive. So when Nova has a core and he gets a killing blow, he will stand back up and start healing about 2% HP for 20 seconds or 1% HP for 20 seconds. And it's a, I believe, 90-second cooldown? Can someone remind me what the cooldown is? Yeah, 90-second cooldown. Anyway, it's right here. It's 90-second cooldown. This passive got buffed recently, where before, if you had a burning debuff on you, a poison debuff on you, any debuff that did DOT, it would surpass this passive and kill you anyway. They changed that so where if you get a killing blow, Nova will remove all debuffs on him, and he'll be able to heal perfectly fine. This does not stop. This does not stop this accessory, however. This accessory that does little ticks to your health every couple of seconds, this will still surpass the revival passive. So be aware of that in PvP. Now let's talk about Flames of Victory and Master of Warfare. So what Flames of Victory does is, just in general, you have MP recovery 15% when you're attacking. That's just, you have that all the time. When you use 2 of the Crow skills, so Ignition Crow Napalm or Ignition Crow Incinerator, all your skills cooldown will decrease by 33%. This is like the main thing you need to think about when you're playing Nova. I will say Nova's a pretty easy class when you kind of get it. But this is like the thing where you actually have to like pay attention and kind of think about. So when you're using a skill, like when you use Crow, all your skills will get that cooldown decrease. It's amazing. It's great. It doesn't matter which Crow you use, but this cooldown reduction only happens once every 10 seconds. So cooldown decrease, then cooldown of 10 seconds, like the internal cooldown of 10 seconds. Then after that 10 seconds, you can get another cooldown decrease is available, etc. and so forth. All right, so that's one big thing. Second big thing is Master of Warfare, which they made amazing, by the way. So pre-reboot, this was one of my least favorite passives because what it did is it decreased how much overheat damage you gave yourself, aka they made it harder for you to get under that 50%, like I was talking about before. You want to be under that 50% all the time. So what this did before is it made it harder to get under that 50%, aka making it harder to play your class, making it harder to do damage, which is the main job of this character. But now, this is what it does, people. Every time you overheat a skill, you will get a heat detection stack. Let me just show it to you real quick. I went to sparring by accident. Oh no. What's up? Somebody said hello. How you doing? Alright, so check it out. And it's only overheat skills, not overheat commands. So, Revolver Cannon, overheated it, 1 heat detection stack. So as I keep using overheated skills, no matter what overheat skills it is, I'm getting heat detection stacks. Now, what do heat detection stacks do? Every time you get a heat detection stack, it increases your crit by 5% up to 5 stacks. So that's 25% crit just for playing your character. So that also means, when you think about it, you don't have to stack crit as much, and this also kind of influences the Indomitable Will build I'll talk about a bit later. So you're getting free crit, just free crit for playing your character. It's not crit damage increase to be busted. It's just the normal crit stat. Alright? So, and also it has a kind of internal cooldown. The game doesn't really tell you about this, but yeah, there's a little internal cooldown. I think it's about like 5 seconds. Someone correct me on that. Maybe 2 seconds. I'm not sure. But let's get to 5 real quick. So when you get to 5, this is what happens. Oh, come on. There we go. So once you hit 5 stacks, you will get another buff. This is called Heat Detection MP Recovery. So you will get 20 MP per second for 10 seconds, I believe. Yeah, 10 seconds. And then your heat detection eventually will go away. You can't stack up anymore. You can't like refresh it, and then it just starts out from the beginning again. It kind of works out. Like, some people maybe would want to be like, oh, I wish I could keep my heat detection at 5, so I can be like, I can always have that free crit. Kind of like, if you guys remember skill stacking. Well, some people still use skill stacking, but kind of like skill stacking, like maybe people would want that. But I could see the benefit of just like having it start from the beginning again because you get that free MP. So yeah, once you get all 5, you're stuck there. You're stuck there. You're just getting the MP, and then you're waiting for it to end, and you can stack it up again. Maybe they'll change this in the future, but as it is right now, I don't mind it because of the change they made before. Like I said, before it made it so you took less damage from your overheat skills, making it harder to get under 50%. That was not a fan. So I like the way it works now. So you want to be using overheat skills as much as possible, and then after you're done all your big skills like Revolver or Giga and then Rain of Fire, then you use one of your crows. And you start it off with Bursting Blade. So typically you'll start it off with Bursting Blade, then you go into maybe a Revolver or Rain of Fire depending on the situation, and then Giga Prominence, and then you hit them up with one of the crows. You would be like, oh, and don't you want to use Harpoon Spear? Probably not really, because you can use Rain of Fire again in the time that it would just take to use Harpoon Spear. Like I said, it's not that safe. So it's probably better just to use the crow, just so you can get another Rain of Fire or Giga Prominence out, even Revolver Cannon. Like, that's just the rotation I like. So, let's talk about builds. Okay? So let's talk about force skills. Again. So, there are kind of 2 builds, I would say, for Nova. It's the you can either choose the eroding energy skill, Midair Skills. I mean, oh yeah, okay. I can just talk about that real quick. So Harpoon Spear you can use in the air. Here, I'll just do it real quick. It's not really too important for PvE, but I just need to stop going to sparring, going to free training. Thank you for the raid, Fluorescent. I need to set up raids. I have an animation for hosting, but not for raids. Here, let me see if I can like play the hosting thing. I don't think I can. Whatever. Anyway, So he does have aerial skills. He has Bursting Blade, and let me show you the other two real quick. Bursting Blade is probably one that you'll care about in PvE, but I'll at least show off the other two real quick. He also has this and Flame Sword. So Haze Explosion, Flame Sword. Oh, also Shadow Step. You can use Shadow Step in the air. It's quite nice actually, especially with the platforming. Oh, I forgot to talk about Shadow Step. So the reason why I always have Shadow Step on is because it's your get out of jail free card. Like in any situation, you can just boom Shadow Step, stab, or Shadow Step backslide. It's great. It's fantastic. So there you go. That's Shadow Step. And those are the aerial skills. What did I have here? I completely forgot what I had here. I think it was Crow. Yeah, it was Crow. Alright. So like I was saying before. Yeah, also you can use Bursting Blade on the ground, and I recommend you use it on the ground. Because if you use it in the air, whatchamacallit? If you use it in the air, Raven falls to the ground and he's not invincible at all, and he is very susceptible to just taking damage. So recommend not to use it in the air if you can, unless there's flying enemies, then you obviously use it in the air. Okay, so in terms of force skills, there's two kind of builds you can do for Nova. I use the Eroding Energy build, but there's also the Indomitable Will build. So what Indomitable Will does is, under a certain amount of HP, all attacks will become critical. Well, it happens to be that Nova is low HP anyway. So the elite version is 45. I don't remember what the rare version is, but I think it's like 6. I mean 30? 30, yes. But I'm not sure off the top of my head. And can somebody remind me what unique is? So the thing with Indomitable Will, it's very good for Nova, and it is theoretically his best build. The Indomitable Will build is theoretically his best build. What do I mean by theoretically? So theoretically, right? 55, thank you. Is that 55 for rare? How much is unique? So theoretically, right? When you're using your overheat skills, you're always going under half. Every single overheat skill you will use, Harpoon Spear, both Crows, Giga, Revolver, Rain of Fire, all of those will set you to half HP. His bullet combo in the air sets him to half HP. His flamethrower combo sets him to half HP. 55 is unique. Okay, thank you. Have a good stream. Oh, thank you, friend. All of that will set him to under 50%. However, the problem lies in every extraneous factor that comes into just playing this game. The thing is, right? Potions will give you HP. Your teammates in raid bosses like Radiant Soul, Blue Hen will be giving you HP. Yes, it is true that every single skill reduces HP to half. However, you're being healed by these other resources, and also certain skills will not activate their overheat until later on in the skill. What do I mean by that? Going back to free training. Maybe I should just stay in free training, but sometimes I like to just be out of there. But this is why it's on the spot. For example, Giga Prominence, check it out. I am overheating this skill right now. But the overheat only comes in the last hit. That means that every single one of these other pillars, they're not getting the benefits of the overheat buff. Same with Revolver. Only the last 2 bullets are getting the benefit of the overheat buff if I'm at full health when using the skill. Obviously, those are all if I'm at full health when I'm using the skill. If I'm already at half, obviously, I'm already at half, so Revolver is getting the full benefit, yada, yada, yada. But if I'm getting, like, for example, if I get healed by a Blue Hen while I'm doing Revolver Cannon, and I already had it half before, then a lot of that damage is just kind of lost. So, realistically, it's kind of hard to do the Indomitable Will build. Not to say that's not impossible, and not to say that it's bad. It's amazing. The damage is great. Like, I tried it out for a little bit. The damage is great, but all these other things just kind of get in the way. Just out damage, that's true too. But all these other things are just kind of annoying, and they kind of just get in the way. So, just be aware of that if you decide to do this. Now, that's the Indomitable Will build. This is the Eroding Energy build, which is the build I use. So one benefit is you kind of don't have to worry about like any of what I just mentioned. Like, yeah, it's true if things like kind of get you high on HP, but you kind of have crit anyway. You stack crit anyway, so it doesn't really matter as much. And here's a big thing: Eroding Energy gives you mana. If you don't have Eroding Energy and you have an Indomitable Will, you have 415. If you have Eroding, you have 515. That means you can be more flexible with your skills. You just have more mana to use in certain situations. Yada yada yada. Everything that comes with just having more mana. Like all those benefits, it's great. Potions also heal you more because it's certain potions will do percentage of your HP. Anything that does percentage of your mana will give you more MP. And I don't know. I just find it more fun to just be able to play with 500 MP than 400 MP. Like again, like I said, Indomitable Will is probably the better build, but I just have more fun with eroding energy. Just because I have more of that mana to work around with. Maybe other classes it's like kind of similar, but I just have more fun with eroding energy than I do with Indomitable Will. But that's what it comes down to. I think it's more of a personal preference. Joke's on you, it came to NI specifically to do this. Sure. And that needs a mod with what is it? He needs mod Mental Crash, and what mod Mental Crash will do is he uses it on himself so he doesn't gain HP for 10 seconds. Doesn't that sound amazing? Think about it. Maybe 20 seconds. 30 seconds? Think about it, right? Mod Mental Crash. Think about it. Think about it. Mod Mental Crash. Okay, obviously that will not work in PvP. Well, you could work in PvP. He doesn't gain. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't gain HP. That's what it would do. Mod Mental Crash. You use it, you can't gain HP for 30 seconds. If that's a thing, yo, Indomitable will build all the way, but it's not a thing, so I don't like it. Alright. What else do we talk about? Somebody mentioned something earlier. Or should I just go into gear? I'll have a swig of water first. I'm doing very good, thank you. Alright. Talk about gear. So this is my gear. I use the blue Arena Node set, obviously. Crit damage as much as possible, like everybody does. Revolver Cannon, like I said before, is the thing you will stack. The second option I would recommend stacking is Giga Prominence. Giga Prominence does more damage than Revolver Cannon. You can't use it in as many situations, but you can use it as pretty much about the same situations. It's very fast, not as fast as Revolver, but still very fast. The damage is amazing, beautiful, outstanding. So if you stack it, there's no harm in that, not at all. Do not stack Rain of Fire. I highly recommend not stacking Rain of Fire. As much as it sounds awesome and amazing, the fact that it doesn't work on small bosses, you will be fighting small bosses in this game, and Rain of Fire will not be doing as much damage. So stack Revolver or stack Giga. Don't stack both. Stack either one or the other. What else? Polarize as much as possible. Party Magic Attack. Party Magic Attack that I have here in my pants, I'm thinking about changing that to Speed, just because other people have better Magic Attack than I do. I only have 9. So this could be either Magic or Speed. Nova needs Speed just to be like using his skills even faster. Like that's really nice. All skill damage. And so the shoe, you can either have the shoe one of 3 options, I would say. Boss damage is one option. MP cost is another option. Third option is either like Bravery / Strength cooldown. I would probably say Bravery cooldown just because Bravery cooldowns are longer. I guess you could also do like Magic Defense Ignore, but probably not. But I take MP cost because, again, like I said before, just having more mana and playing with more mana is just more fun to me. I enjoy the game more when it's like that, when I can just use more skills, have a bigger pool to use skills. That's what MP cost enables me to do. So, bada boom, pow. My costume suit is the Noble Duelist, just that has all skill damage 1%, and I have boss damage on it. The IB that I use is a Mariposa Requiem, just because it has all skill damage. Another great set is the Black Mass set, but I use that for PvP. And the current set is actually really... It's not bad. It's not bad for Nova. It's pretty good. And again, another just raw, just crit and all skill damage set. It's pretty good. And when you awaken, you get some skill damage, which he always desires. Again, with Nova, what you want to do is as much damage as possible. So crit damage increase, skill damage, those are your most desirable like things. Boss damage as well, polarize, yada yada, so on and so forth. I use the Black Mass 3-piece effect for the same reasons. I could maybe change this in the future. I think this is open to be changed, but that's what I'm using for now. My weapon is the Flames of Judgment weapon, and I can show you the Mystic Stones on it. Obviously, as everybody else does, you want Magic Attack levels on your red. Not quite done yet. Magic Attack, power on the blues. Look at this. You see these blues? These are some beautiful blues. Don't look at the rest of them. They're not as good. But these 4 in a row, look at these. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. The yellow, you probably want magic attack power or crit damage, but magic attack power is probably better. Don't look at my giants. You probably want magic attack power. Hey, don't look at these two. This one's fine. He's a cool guy. Don't look at these two though. They're pretty bad. Yeah, those are Mystic Stones. So accessories. I have the Dimension 3-piece just for the raw physical magical, as well as 3% adaptation. They go a long way. It's rather nice. You want to have Demonic Vine Crown because, again, more damage. You always want to be seeking more damage. This is just 5% raw physical and magical. It's one of the best things you could ask for. Awakening with it can be pretty tough, but you'll be fine, honestly. Like I said before, I got Black Mass here. A Gate Fragment is really nice. Adaptation 2% is great. Ignoring physical and magical defense is quite amazing. A lot of bosses, especially the raid boss, will have a lot of defense, so just being able to surpass it is great. Velder Kingdom Necklace, 3% mag, 3% fizz. It's beautiful. DVC will eventually give CP and not need to increase it. Oh, really? Interesting. Strong Skill Warriors Ring. So I have strength damage. You maybe could do bravery. Here's the thing, right? If you're committing to bravery, like, I wouldn't blame you, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to you. They're making adaptation and buffs give CP. Oh, yeah. Nice. So yeah, like I was saying, I don't recommend the boosting bravery with a lot of these things. You could, but when you're doing that, you're kind of saying that I'm only going to be doing bosses. When you're going to be doing the normal dungeons, like you're probably going to be doing dailies in Riggamore or El Reynod or Varnamir, your 300 MP aren't as reliable as your 200 MPs, which is... Incinerator should be one-shotting everything. If it's not one-shotting everything, then you probably need more strength damage, and you get that from the rings and so on and so forth. Tenacious Ring of Fury, just for the physical and magical increases. It's very nice. For titles, I'm usually wearing maybe Guardian, Eclipse if I want to stay alive, but I don't use it that often. For pure damage in raid bosses, I'll use Dark Gaze. Again, it's adaptation, it's polarized, it's pure damage. Eventually, I want to get this title, Survival in the Cold. Just raw damage. I think it might be a little better than Dark Gaze. I'm not sure. Raw damage, ignoring defense, adaptation, beautiful, amazing things that you definitely want. This is good too, you know, just doing more damage to bosses and more title counts. Guardian of El Reynod is great too, if you want to Guardian of El Reynod, Awaken, and then switch to another skill like Dark Gaze. That's really nice. Pierce the Heavens versus Dark Gaze. Here's the thing with Pierce the Heavens, right? No, if you're doing El Reynod, if you can't get to if you can't get to Riggamore, maybe go for this. Here's the thing. This takes a long time, and there's just a better title anyway, which is Survival of the Cold. So I will not recommend Pierce the Heavens. Maybe in the past, but now I just can't recommend it to you because there's just a better version right here in Survival of the Cold. I know it's hard to get CP, but the time you would theoretically waste going for El Reynod City, just build up your CP and get Survival of the Cold eventually. I think that's just better, in my opinion. Specifically for Nova. Alright, so that's titles out of the way. Let's talk about El Resonance. So El Resonance, what is the first thing you want to get? You want to get all skill damage. It's his best thing he could have, number one. Number two, it gives you the most CP out of everything else, so you need to meet CP requirements. It's just the best out of any other option. That's the first thing you should get. The second thing you get is either Polarize or Boss Damage Increase. Get Boss Damage Increase first if you meet all CP requirements and you're trying to do as much damage as possible, because it does more damage. And then get Polarize after that. Or you get Polarize first if you don't meet CP requirements, because this gives more CP than Boss Damage Increase. The reason you take Boss Damage first before Polarize is just math. This is 1.5 per point, and this is 0.3 per point, and they're both 50 points. So there you go. Oh, look, it's my little message. Yeah, all skill damage is the first choice for all characters, that's true. But specifically for Nova, you know, obviously. I would say after I finish Polarize, I'll probably get MP cost maybe, or adaptation It's up in the air right now. I really don't know. I'll have to think about it when I get to that point. But I would say either of these two would be nice. Maybe MP cost, because this is just a better increase than adaptation at the lower levels. Like MP cost will matter more at the lower levels than adaptation, or maybe skill cooldown if you feel like your cooldowns aren't good. I would say that's another option that's quite nice. That's all resonance. What else is there to talk about? I'm trying to think. We went over passives, we went over skill traits, we went over skills, we went over gear pretty much. What else? What else? I can talk about sockets, I guess. Sockets aren't too crazy compared to everybody else. He gets what everybody else wants to get. Yeah, you want to get maximized, but like I said before, you don't need as much maximized as other people. I'll go through my sockets real quick. I got boss damage on my costume suit, and every single one of my IB pieces on the armor. Most of my armor has boss damage. I have a whole pant of just maximize boss damage, some crit here and there to meet CP requirements and have crit. This is double maximize, crit maximize. This not the bet. You see that crit 10%. That could be a 12, obviously. But yeah, it doesn't change that much depending on what character you play. This is for PvE, correct? That's true. Okay, so let's talk about PvP real quick. Oh wait, I almost forgot. For guild skills, obviously this depends on what the guild wants as a whole, but this is what I found to be the best. Light steps is actually really good because Nova is pretty slow, so getting the light steps buff when you get ED, just making it really faster, you get a better flow when you play the character, and it's really, really nice. Just raw physical magical increase. Getting more from your pots is great. Unfortunately, this also increases how much HP you gain, but it's fine. You can deal with it. And then everything else is kind of everything else. What's a guild? LOL. It's true. What is a guild? If that's it for PvE, then let's talk about PvP, yeah? Unless somebody tells me right now that I forgot something in PvE. Oh, I guess I can real quick talk about Riggamore. I'm not worrying about Riggamore right now. I can do all the content fine, so I don't really care to make the set at the moment. The best set is probably the Crimson set, just for the Polarize is such a unique buff, and just having more damage, like I said, is amazing. Cerulean can also be really nice. That 20% is very high chance. So imagine that procs on like a Giga Prominence or like a Rain of Fire or like on your just typical Revolver Cannons. I know he has the cooldown decrease passive, but that 20% is a rather big number. So Cerulean is not a bad option. Cobalt is, I don't know what they were thinking with this set. The Sage set is also very, very nice. If you're not as strong as other people, or if you want to just be very valuable to people, take the Sage set. Damage is great. You get 2 unique buffs. Also, if you're solo, these unique buffs are really, really nice and probably stronger than certain other things. But if somebody else has this in the party, that's where the problem arises. Because if somebody else has a Sage set in the party, then you're not doing much, and the Crimson set is just better. But if you're the only person with this, you are very valuable to the team. If you're solo, these buffs are great. So this is another very nice option, and this is just the PvP set. So if you're doing PvP, just get this set. So if you're doing PvP, get Violet. If you're doing PvE, maybe Sage, maybe Cerulean. I recommend Crimson right now, but again, I'm not making the set yet, so I don't need to worry about that right now. I'll make the set later. I'm being very lax with it. I have not used any of my Amethyst. They are stacking up. They are stacking up right now. Yeah. And it looks like that's it for PvE, so let's talk about PvP real quick. So this is my PvP set. It's a bit different. So I use the Halloween Trickster just for the HP and reduce damage. It's a little bit. Sockets effect some add damage. Maximize all the way through. I also have the Black Mass set, just some more pure damage, like I said. It's probably not the best set. I probably want a more tanky set, but this is kind of the best thing that I had, so this was what I'm using. My PvP set is not as good as my PvE set, but it's still aight. You know, it gets the job done when I need to. Purple set, obviously, stacking as much HP as you can. Again, still stacking Revolver Cannon. I wish this was a 12. It's only a 10. Just a little bit more damage. Party Critical. Party Attack Speed. I wish this was higher. You know, you want attack speed to be as high as possible. Party Additional Damage. Party Maximize. Great stuff. As much HP as you can. Try to get it as high level as you can. I only have it +9. I wish it was +10. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. I forgot to talk about Warrior Chronicle. Again, skill, strength skill damage is what you want. good luck trying to get this and identify it. I got really lucky on my first try. Same Black Mass, same Vine Crown. I used Nasad Scatter to CMP. I used the Dimension Symbol, just a 2-set to get something. Maybe I can replace it, but right now that's just the best that I have. Ice Queen is very nice. I've been experimenting with it. Before I had the third piece of the Dimension Master, but I've been trying Ice Queen and I quite like it because the gas reduces physical magical defense, and then I nuke them with the skill, and it's good. Warrior Necklace, again, you want the MP. It's great. Same thing, Ring of Fury, and the skill ring with strength damage is lovely. The title, I switch between Guardian of Elray Node just for straight up nuking. It pairs really well with the Ice Queen just because you reduce everybody's defense and then you hit them with the buffs from the Guardian of Elray Node. Eclipse is also amazing. You have more safe reses, you can stay alive longer, and the shield, 5% chance of damage reduction, 100% for 3 seconds is amazing because not only are you taking less damage, you're gaining MP with each hit, but it's not doing that much damage to you. And Nova is all about just kind of tanking a bit and then getting under half and then nuking just everybody, and hopefully everybody dies by the time you finish nuking. If they haven't, worry. You'll be fine. Talking about skills real quick. Again, you'll still want to take heavy on the things that matter. So Revolver Cannon, you want heavy. Ignition Crow, Incinerator, you want heavy. Revolver Cannon does more damage out of anything else, and Ignition Crow has more range, and it also has Splash, so it could potentially do a lot more damage if you're fighting a Nisha, if you're fighting a... What's the Eve that summons? Essentia? I think it's Essentia. If you're fighting Essentia, that's the stuff that matters with the splash damage. What are the other options? Hellfire is very nice, very wide skill, pretty cheap. Sometimes it can be a kind of a pain to catch after it, because depending on the lag situation of the fight, when they get back on the ground, they could probably mash out a skill before you could use something. So kind of be aware of that when you're using Hellfire. Shooting Dash is pretty good. Raven does a skill freeze where he shoots forward. I'll show it off to you guys real quick. It does skill freeze, but the skill freeze isn't very long, and he also has 3 uses, which is quite nice. So boom, boom, boom. The first one is a skill freeze that you see it darkens the screen, and the other 2 are not. You see that they don't darken the screen. Raven is invincible during the other 2 bullets, so if you just want to stay alive, this is another good option, and it's only 80 MP. So there you go. If you want to just stay alive and run away, that's a really good option. And each of the bullets do proc your core, as I'll show you in a second. Stone Doll here. So first shot procs core. Second shot also procs core. Third shot will proc core as well. Again, I was slow with it. You do have a limited amount of time. I think about 5 seconds to use the other 2 bullets. So if you're not fast enough, the other 2 chances will just go away. It's the hit stun of the other 2 bullets aren't that good, but it's still decent. And again, it procs core, and Core's hit stun is very nice. So you want to worry too much about it. Escape skill is escape skill. Use it whenever you can. Bursting Blade is really amazing because of the range of it. Like, look at that. I was still hitting him even though I was this far away. Like, the range is great. The damage is decent. Like, not amazing. And again, the buff will just boost you up a lot. So you probably want to start your combos off with Bursting Blade and then go with a Revolver or a Crow. Whatever suits your fancy. Breaking Fist is good. It's one of his only super armor options. It's very low super armor, but he stands here. He does that. It's alright. Flame Sword, another super armor option. His only 2. Well, no, Shadow Step also counts. Air is great because it also procs the core, and you can catch people right after it. So it's quite nice. Grenades are good. The grenades can feed, unfortunately, because of the fire they leave behind. They can feed your enemy, but they're pretty good for catches just because their range is quite nice, and sometimes your enemy isn't ready for it. Shadow Step is your best catching tool, as any Raven will tell you. It's just really fast. Hitbox is great, and it's one of your safest skills as well. You can also backslide, to take people out. It's nice. Yes, there are 3 more giveaways. Do not worry about giveaways. There are 3 more. But I'm going to do it after we talk about all this stuff. So don't worry about that. And yeah, I'll talk about other options I will use in PvP, but I can switch them out. Mental Crash in the 1v1 is very good to stop your enemy from gaining mana. Nova can feed mana. That's why you want to kind of have Mental Crash, but be aware that its hitbox is complete butt cheeks. So be careful. Be careful when using Mental Crash. As well, he can use, where is it? Haze Explosion. Haze Explosion's hitbox is very nice. Debuff's pretty good. It doesn't feed MP anymore, but it does kind of feed Awakening Charge, so be aware of that. It's also not Super Armor, so be aware of that as well. I kind of switched these out with like Hellfire, or Breaking Fist, or Napalm Grenades. Whatever you want, you can just kind of switch it out. Nova PvP isn't too complicated to understand. You're just trying to, again, just like in PvE, you're just trying to do as much damage as possible. That's just kind of your main goal. So, that being said, have I covered everything? Let me ask the chat room. Have I covered everything? Talked about 4 skills, typical 4 skills, even for PvP. You know, got your Hyper Acceleration, got your Haunting Spirit, got your Drain. Nothing really that crazy. Oh, you will want to use mod Breaking Fist. The normal Breaking Fist is okay, but the mod is more reliable. That's about the most I can say for that. Yeah, no? The cons? Okay, we can talk about pros and cons. Okay. So the pros. What are the pros of playing? Let me go to here. I like this music of this stage. Yeah, we can talk about pros and cons real quick. I'll compare them to the other Ravens as well, because I think that's important to talk about. Did you guys know you can go all the way up here? I didn't know that until like a couple days ago. Look at this. So nice. Try the sound effects though, because the fireworks can get annoying. So, the pros are definitely his damage. It is very easy to play Nova. When you think about it, all you're really doing is using your skills. All your skills will take you down in low HP. If you're fine playing at low HP, the biggest kind of con is just like the idea of being at low HP and being fine with that. Like, it's not really a con, because all of his skills have really good skill invincibility. They do amazing damage. So the only con with just a character is just having your mindset being like, okay. Just having your brain being okay with just the fact of like, oh, I'm at low HP. If you can get into that mental space and be like, I'm okay with it, then you'll have a great time playing Nova. Like, it's a great class to play. What's another con before I go hard into the pros? Another con is when you're talking about Ravens, Furious Blade is better. Statistically, Furious Blade is just better. His skills come out pretty fast. His skills come out a lot faster. He can reach higher damage potentials with all of his buffs. He doesn't have to worry about low HP. He's just faster. Probably not as much mana, I would say, especially with his reboots. Furious Blade is just kind of better. Like, he just inches above Nova. Like, he is better than Nova, not that much better. Rage Hearts is kind of in a bad spot right now, so we won't talk about that poor child, that poor Rage Hearts. He kind of had it coming, but it's okay. No, but that's the thing. FB can boss and do dungeons as good as Nova can. Nova can only do dungeons okay because he has one skill, which is Incinerator. But FB has the Shockwaves. He has the Rising Dance. He has Shoot Up Genocide. I mean, not Shoot Up Genocide. I forget what that's. One of his new skills during Reboot, where he does a dash up and then a dash down. That one's amazing in PvE, just dungeoning. So FB is just kind of better. So pros, just like raw pros, damage is great. He's fun to play. It's very easy to do high damage. So Flying Slash, thank you. So if you're just starting out the game and you just want to I want to do damage, as much damage as possible very easily, this is the character to play. He does high damage easily. That's the thing. You just kind of had to put your headspace in the fact that you'll be at low HP. And if you can, you'll do great. This is a great character. This is a great class. He does really high damage. The one downside is kind of if you're not doing good damage, you're not benefiting your team. Because while he does have Ifrit Flame as the kind of party support kind of thing, that's the only party support thing that he can do at all, unfortunately. But if you are doing damage and you are doing great damage, even if you're not doing that much damage, you'll still be doing decent damage no matter what. You'll still be doing decent damage kind of no matter what. Because you still got that Rain of Fire, you still got that Revolver Cannon, you still got that Bursting Blade, give you that sweet, sweet, sweet buff. So yeah, that's Nova. That's about all I gotta say. Hopefully I did not miss anything. If I did miss something, please tell me. But that's Nova. Nova is a great character that does damage. His job is doing damage, as much damage as possible. So go out there and do damage. That's the best I can tell you about playing Nova. Just go out there, do some damage, do some overheating. Don't be worried about HP. What's HP? I don't care about HP. HP is not a number. The only HP that matters is your last HP. Huh? Think about that. For any character, the only HP that matters is your last HP. So who cares if you're at low HP? Right? Right? Alright. And W guide now? No.